What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. I'm your girl, Lady, and the chef, joined by my co-host this evening.
Dvlogs21, what's up?
What's going on, D-Vlogs? How you doing today?
Well, I just told you, but I'm doing okay otherwise. Scammers.
Yeah, no, they try to they're trying to pray and get people, which is absolutely absurd. But you gotta stay vigilant and
Exactly.
watch out. Salute to everybody who's watching us live. Salute to you, those of you who are watching us on a replay gang. We appreciate those of you who take the time to tune into our videos, those who are showing love, whether it's in the chat, leaving us a comment, hitting the like button, new subscribers. Those of you who've been watching us a while and forgot to hit the subscribe button and finally hit it. Thank you. I appreciate it. And those of you who are part of this huge Knicks community and joining us, thank you for stopping by. And today, the show's not going to be long. We pretty much just wanted to go over. I thought it would be kind of interesting to bring up from an article I read 7 interesting trades that the Knicks can possibly go after for current NBA players. Um, Now, for a lot of the college players, I will admit that I do have to watch some more of a lot of players' game, some tape, and see what guys are doing. There's only like one player who I was going to bring up this evening, who the Knicks can possibly go after, and who he could possibly fit under Tibbs' leadership um, and fit into this Knicks roster. I think that he can be a good fit, right?
Yeah.
So you know this these 7 trades. I'm sure people are gonna not like me, and they're probably gonna think that these are what I'm saying. I'm not. These are what ifs. That's hence the title of today's video. It's like, what if the Knicks went that route and gathered this player or got this player or made this trade? What would that look like for this Knicks team? And what would that look like for the player coming to the team? And how would this work out for the Knicks team moving on for next year? And I'm sure Diva, you're going to have some rebuttal on some and probably have some wise reasoning, because I see people in the chat will a lot of times say, thank God someone has their thinking cap on, because people must think that like I'm not logically thinking here. And this is why she's here, because she will say, woo, come on down, because what you're saying I don't agree with. And that's what makes for a healthy debate. Anyways, let's get into it. I have some slides that I set up. So we will discuss. I don't want to send away. Uh, I do this every time. I'm trying to make it as big as possible. So yes, these are 7 possible Knicks trade rumors. Don't go crazy in the chat of who we think the Knicks can possibly get or not get. I may have to move the Two Knicks Chicks logo, maybe in a way. So like I said, 7 trades that could possibly help the Knicks emerge. A breakdown of the teams and who will they receive, who will the Knicks receive, and do these trades make sense, or will they make sense if possibly of the what if the Knicks made this move, right? So first up is Toronto. Yeah, let me move this. 1 second. I knew this was going to be in the way. Better. So first team up is Toronto Raptors. The Knicks will receive Bruce Brown. We're in the way. Um, and Toronto would get Bojan Bogdanovic, Mitchell Robinson, and a 2025 first round pick. I'm not sure about giving up a first round pick for Bruce Brown or Mitchell Robinson for him. And then it makes me wonder, would he be worthy of a trade for Bojan as well? What do you think?
Um, I would, because he's a shooting guard. I guess we need another shooting guard. But for Mitch, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not happy. I don't like this particular scenario.
Hmm.
Um, not for a player of his caliber. Not that it's no shade on him. Not that he's any good. I mean, he does have, championship belt on, a ring under his belt. Um, still young. He's 27. There's still some upside room for growth, but this trade, um, I'm like 50-50, more like 60-40 for this one. Um,
But would you feel comfortable if the Knicks were hypothetically on the what if to bring Bruce Brown to replace Bojan Bogdanovic with the shooting? Would you be comfortable with his shooting capabilities over Bojan?
no, only because, Bojan, he's a guy that, he's a true catch and shoot type of guy, you
Hmm.
know. He's gonna give us, he's a walking bucket, if he's healthy. And we didn't get a chance to experience, him in his true essence. You got him, at the tail end of the season, then he got hurt in the playoffs. So there's always that what if, and how will he do, if he, stay with the team. So I would definitely like to see more of him. But if it's, if it's for another trade and if it made sense, talent wise, yeah. But for talent, I would go with Bojan.
So you would stay with Bogey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like Bojan's shooting is more efficient. He's a stronger catch and shoot guy. His efficiency is high. He proved it on other teams, and especially being on a bad um, Detroit team who just were awful, And I think between Kate Cunningham, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Alex Burke, they were like the three guys who really performed well on a night in, night out basis. I'm not too high on the Knicks bringing in Bruce Brown and doing this particular trade, giving up Bojan or Mitchell, and especially a first round draft pick who is something. This is something that fans have been wondering: are the Knicks going to be aggressive and actually utilize their trade picks that they have to bring in, certain key guys here, right? So I'm not too crazy about this particular trade here, but listen, it's a what if, right? That's what we're talking about. What if? Next up are the Atlanta Hawks. The Knicks will receive DeJounte Murray. Atlanta would get Miles McBride, Bojan Bogdanovic, a 2025 first round pick, and a 2027 first round pick. Um, Me personally, I like the Knicks getting DeJounte Murray. This was in talks for a while. Um, and it was like lingering, and we was waiting to see what the Knicks were gonna do before the trade deadline. I don't like the Knicks giving up Deuce because I think Deuce is a fit here. Um, I can see the trade off between giving up DeJounte Murray for Bojan, right? Because you're getting somebody who could play defense, who could also shoot, who could create their own. But I don't like the whole giving up Deuce McBride. And I'm not really crazy about the two first round picks, but I get it because of the caliber of player that DeJounte is, the money that he's making. My only qualm is mainly the Deuce McBride and then one of the first round draft picks. What about you?
I mean, I would go with Bojan and even the two first round picks, the 25 and the 27. I mean, that's something, I would consider. He's a true, you know, he could a two-way shooting and point, you know, he, decent, he rebounds, he score, he attacks the rim. So there's a lot of upsides to him. I mean, I would definitely, a 25 first round and a 27. But Miles McBride, like I truly want to see what he can do. And I know he has a lot in the tank. He hasn't even tapped into his ceiling,
Hmm.
so we saw a glimpse of, like they said, sample size, and I don't even, it was just a little, a tease that what we saw for Miles. So I know that there's a lot of upsides to his game. So I'm not so with throwing Miles in there. But definitely, Bojan and those first round picks for sure.
Okay, so you pretty much agree with the trade minus Deuce, which I agree with. I'm not a fan of trade and Deuce because I think Deuce, unlike Jericho Sims, unlike Grimes, he actually fits on this Knicks team.
Yeah.
Not just because of what he's proven, I just think his style, the fact that he has that hunger, that grittiness that this team plays with. He's very resilient. If, like I said, if Deuce has one bad game, he makes up for it the next game and makes sure he produces in some way, shape, or form, right? But I'm just not crazy about giving up Deuce McBride in any of these trades. Again, this is all part of the what if, and I don't really see the Knicks doing that. Like they just signed him to a nice, comfortable deal. We've complimented the front office for doing a good job getting players at such a great coupon deal, but I'm just not fond of including Deuce McBride in that deal to Atlanta for DeJounte Murray. But I would agree with bringing DeJounte Murray to this Knicks team as he can provide um, scoring for this team, ball handling for this team. He can get to the basket. So I think there's versatility under his belt within his game that he can bring on this Knicks team. And he could be a good backup for somebody like Julius Randle. I mean, do you think that he would need to start? Or do you go back to what we were saying before, where you may have someone like a DiVincenzo go to the bench or Josh Hart go to the bench and have him start?
Yeah, I think he's definitely, he's another one. He's not coming up the bench. He reminds me of a spider. So, and if like you said, these are just all ifs, I would relegate, Dante to the bench for sure.
Yeah, and I remember you bringing up that you feel like Atlanta, or you were reading that Atlanta is looking to retain Murray
Yeah,
and get
that's
rid
what.
of Trey and
Yep,
build the
that's
team around Murray, which I can totally see them doing, right? He produced, he gave you the numbers. And I think it also goes back to what we were discussing, how Trey, a lot of times when, you're a spotlighted player, you're a good player, but you don't bring your team far. After a while, organizations are like, well, what are we doing with you here? We paying you a lot of money. You haven't been able to bring the team far. I also think it's funny how people, when Jalen Brunson throughout this regular season was bowling out of control, and the question came up of why isn't Jalen Brunson's name being brought up um, like other players in the league? And one of the guys they were comparing him to, not necessarily games, but like marketing name wise, was Trey. And I was like, I can see that because I saw a billboard the other day. It's actually not too far from my apartment. And it's a Sprite billboard. And it's like cold, coldest. And it has Trey because, they say he's ice cold. So I just thought that was crazy. But then I remember, like true Knicks fans, we were saying how Jalen Brunson's time was going to be coming for the marketing. And it happened.
yeah,
I saw him on Hot Ones, the Wings special, him and Josh doing a podcast throughout the regular season, him getting on all these endorsement deals and commercials. Like he was in a Kith commercial, like just a lot of things marketing wise. When you're in such a big market as New York, I think you saw that more with him than you saw with Julius Randle. Randle had the billboards, but not to the degree of like Brunson has, right? But I just think it's so funny bringing that up because Trey hasn't brought Atlanta anywhere except for that one stint that they had, where
yeah,
Brunson's trade changed the whole trajectory of this Knicks team and has brought this team quite far. And you see the growth of where this team's going to go. So I can see how, going back to what you were saying, how this Knicks team would want to go with DeJounte Murray. The Atlanta Hawks team would want to go build around him. And there was talks anyway that Atlanta was trying to look to get rid of Trae Young, before. So it's gonna be a very interesting off season to say the least. But I think we both are in agreement that not getting rid of Dukes.
For sure.
Yeah. Salute to the chat, Coach Sar, Just Knicks. Coach Sar said, I think ATL is trying to hang on to Murray over. Yeah, exactly. What were
Yeah.
you saying? Exactly point. Salute Jay Singh.
Salute.
Salute DJ Star Vibes. I like that handle. Coach Star said, I think ATL wants Ingram. Interesting. I could see him there though.
Yeah.
I could totally see him playing in Atlanta.
Alongside.
I like Murray, but I don't want anything to do with Rich Paul and Clutch Sports. Yeah.
Agreed.
Rich actually seems like he don't want anything to do with the Knicks. I don't know why. Just something about the way he handles business with his players. It just seems like he wants to keep them away from the Knicks. I could be wrong, but that's just the vibes that I get. Next up is Memphis. The Knicks will receive Desmond Bane. Memphis will get, again, Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson, Dante DiVincenzo, as well as a 2026 first round pick, a 2028 first round pick, and a 2030 first round pick. I don't know if Desmond Bane is worth giving up Deuce, Dante, hell, even Mitch.
And
But it's
all those first round picks.
too many first round picks, right? Which I don't see the Knicks doing because we've applauded this front office for not making silly, giving away so much and getting nothing in return. So I don't see them doing that. And I don't know why I didn't highlight the names because it's probably hard to see when you can see it, but I meant to highlight that. But yeah, I don't know. Now, I like Desmond Bane. I think he would be a good asset to this team, both defensively and offensively, right? He can shoot the ball, he can play great defense, but not for all of that. Not for Deuce, not for Mitch, not for Dante, and all those first round picks. Like, it's too much. I don't know. And I feel like Desmond Bain shooting and Dante DiVincenzo shooting, you can get the same thing you're going to get with Desmond from Dante.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get the same thing from Desmond that we're already getting from Dante. And I believe Dante's shot is going to get even better for next season. Same thing with Deuce McBride. I see him getting better with his shot and perfecting that 3-point shot and that mid-range shot. Mitchell Robinson, we know offensively he doesn't really have an offensive game, but defensively he's gotten better. As long as Mitch is in shape, he's going to give you greatness on the floor, right? And be that defensive presence and that threat. Now, all three of those guys would be a hell of a addition and plus for Memphis because they prove without Ja, they're not that good. They're not good. So, honestly, I think they should try to hold on to Desmond Bane, but I don't know. Maybe other teams, I'm sure, have been looking at him and are probably interested. Money speaks volumes.
It's sure enough, too.
But I do like Desmond Bane, but I just think that this is too much for one player.
Agree.
So, nah, I'll pass. Next up, Orleans. Knicks will receive Brandon Ingram. New Orleans will get Julius Randle, a 2026 first round pick, and a 2028 first round pick. Do you feel like Brandon Ingram could give you what Julius was given, if not better, and on a consistent basis, and to the level of what Julius was giving you? Or do you just say, I'll pass, let's stick with Julius, Brandon could go somewhere else?
I'll pass. I'll stick with Julius, and Brandon can definitely go somewhere else. Like I said, I love, I don't love is a strong word, but I like Julius' game, just the presence down low. He's what, like a 29, almost a 10 guy, the 5 rebounds and so forth, 6. I mean,
Right.
I like what he does. Um, and just being physical and just playing off of Brunson, that like I mentioned in our previous podcast, that will take a lot of, once he gets back, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of Brunson. I would definitely pass, and I like Ingram. But for me, I'd rather, keep Julius, and I definitely want to, again, run it back just to see what a healthy Knicks look like this season, rather next season with those added additions.
Yeah, I think Brandon would be a good um, possible addition to this team, but not giving up a Julius Randle or not giving up a Dante DiVincenzo. And then 2 first round picks for him. No.
Yeah,
Like if the Knicks were able to get him and not give up one of your star players, then possibly, right? But I don't like the idea of acquiring Brandon Ingram when, and realistically, Julius Randle's not an injury prone player. He's gotten injured.
yeah,
The players playing dirty, right? Go figure, Miami both times. But I wouldn't necessarily give up Brandon Ingram. Now, if it was a different, I say my answer would be different if the Knicks were able to say, okay, they were able to acquire him and add him to the team without giving up a Julius Randle and 2 first round picks.
for sure.
So I don't know, I don't see Brandon Ingram fitting into this Knicks roster like that. I don't know. Something about the way he plays and the way this Knicks team plays. I don't see him fitting into the roster per se. And I could be wrong, but me personally, I just don't see him fitting in to this Knicks roster and playing under Thibodeau. So
Agreed.
next up, Los Angeles Clippers. The Knicks will receive PG, Paul George. Clippers will get Deuce McBride, Josh Hart, Bojan Bogdanovic, a 2025 first round pick, and a 2027 first round pick. I can see us giving up Bojan for Paul George. I don't like giving up Josh and Miles because I feel like that's the problem when you go after players like him. Other teams are going to want too many other guys. And I feel like, especially Josh Hart and Deuce, they're key pieces to this Knicks team and what they do and what makes the heart of this team and the soul of this team and the integrity of this Knicks team. And I think that letting go of 2 key guys like Bojan, I can possibly say okay because you're getting Paul George, but Miles and Josh, I can't do it.
Yeah, now I definitely would pass on something like that. I like Paul George game, but for me, his age is a factor. I mean, and he's still, he's still balling. He's giving you about, low shy of 23 points and the rebounds, this and assists. But prior to, and he gave you 74 games this past season, but prior to that, he's, injury, and he, along with, Kawhi, they do that. They sit out games, I guess, whatever, for whatever reason, to preserve, to, I don't know, preserve themselves down in playoffs. I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to give up Josh and Deuce, um, and those first round picks. Me personally, I would pass on Paul George.
Yeah, I agree. He's injury prone. He does like to sit out games, and Tibbs is not the kind of coach that's going to allow you to sit out multiple games unless you have an actual injury or severe injury where you cannot play. But I don't see Paul George coming here because in order to acquire him for this Knicks team that was one game shy of the Eastern Conference Final, you're giving up too much of a team that's already have chemistry, that has continuity. This team has gelled together. They know each other. And it's not to say that no one can be on a chopping block, right? But fortunate because Deuce, Josh, Bojan, these guys have value. I would love to see Jericho Sims come up, but no one's even talking about him because there's no value there. Again, you would have to send him to a team like a Detroit Jericho Sims or a Spurs, a team that just Portland, teams that just are not doing good, and maybe he can fit in there, but he doesn't hold value for a team to really want him.
Yeah, and also the Clippers, from what I read, they want to keep their core three, and they're also trying to, definitely keep, Ty Lue. So, I think they're another team. I think they're looking to like possibly run it back and add some pieces themselves. So, they talking about keeping their guys together, but like you said, money, it talks. So
Yeah, I
I
think
agree.
out to CM 67, he said Ingram terrible injury risk. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I think
agree.
I think it's also too a matter of with a lot of these players, right? Can these players play with Brunson and Julius Randle and OG Anunoby if he comes back to this team, which I highly see it happening. But like, will it work? Because sometimes you can bring a batch, whether that's two guys, maybe a third guy to come on a team. And sometimes it doesn't always work out. It doesn't pan out the way the front office may have thought it was. Because if you're looking at stats and what this guy has done in the past or this previous team, and then you bring him to this new team and it doesn't work out with that other player. It's like we've said that with Donovan Mitchell, with that workout with him and Jalen Brunson. In the beginning, initially, when Brunson got here, him and Julius Randle wasn't playing well together.
No.
And part of that wasn't Brunson, it was Randle. I think Randle had to check himself because you already said it. You ain't trying to be the 1A. But I think because he saw Brunson was out there balling, and not that Randle wasn't, but it was like, oh, who's this guy coming on this team? And, because before Brunson got there, it was Randle's team.
Yeah, yeah.
But Randle, I keep going back to how he was on podcast, and he said out of his own mouth, I'm more comfortable being the 2-3 guy, the 1B, 1C type player. I want to be able to contribute, go in my role, whatever, whatever. But initially, when Brunson first got there, him and Randle and Brunson they weren't working out together. It took
Yeah.
a little while, and I think it took Randle to trust. And then once him and Brunson trust, it took both of them to trust passing it to other guys on the team. So it took a while. They got there, but I just think that thank goodness it works out with both Randle and Brunson, and they're able to play together on the same team. It works out. But a lot of guys, it just some players it doesn't work out when you try to bring two guys, three guys on the same team. And I'm not sure about that with a player like Ingram, with a player like Paul George. Would that work out, and would they be able to play well on the floor when they're on the floor with a Julius Randle, a Jalen Brunson? So next up, Brooklyn Nets. So the Knicks will receive Mikal Bridges. Brooklyn would get Julius Randle, a 2025 first round pick, a 2027 first round pick, and a 2029 first round pick. I'm not surprised about the 3 first round picks because of Mikal and what he's able to do. He's also very healthy, but I'm not sure about. I don't like bringing him and then getting rid of Julius. I want them to bring him and keep Julius.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
don't
I
think
do
I'm
too.
asking for much. I'm just saying I don't think that bringing Bridges over and then saying, well, we'll swap you and give you Julius. First of all, that's gonna look dumb. How you gonna send Julius right next door to the team next door? I don't think that that's a smart. It would be a smart move. Again, all these trades are under what ifs if the Knicks made these moves. I just don't think that that would be a smart move for the Knicks to swap when I think, and not even because he's a Villanova guy, Bridges, but I just think that he's so talented as a player and you know what he can give you. He stays healthy. You don't got to worry about him riding a bench or not playing as many games. I think he would be a great addition to this team. Now, do I think Brooklyn is going to get rid of him? Absolutely not, because Brooklyn has been stinking up the joint. And I think that Brooklyn, like what Atlanta's trying to do with DeJounte, I think they're going to try to do that around Mikal Bridges and bringing in guys to play with him to make this team a better team. So, yeah, I don't know. Your thoughts?
Well, definitely they're not gonna, get rid of Bridges. And also he has 2 more years on his contract. So I don't think, he's going anywhere. I like him because there's a lot of upsides to his game, man. I mean, I was watching just like tapes of him, you know, when he was drafted from Phoenix all the way through.
Hmm.
He has a lot of upsides to his game. His scoring, the rebounding, his efficiency. He is just a lot of positives. If we can, get him. He was healthy. He played all 82 games this past season,
Right.
which is a blessing. And prior to that, um, I for Randall, I think they will probably need another team to get involved, or you could do a Bojan. I was looking or also doing my research a Bojan and Sims, and then this we got the 24th pick this year, which is that kid. They projecting the kid Tyler Smith from G League
Hmm.
Unite. And then you
Hmm.
got some first round picks in 20 was that 2025, and then you got the 2026. Cause you have to remember the Knicks got a lot of picks in their
Yeah,
bank. That can be an option.
I
I don't.
agree.
What was that?
I agree. I think that's a better option, Bojan, and Sims.
Yeah, send them over to the Nets, but we know that ain't gonna happen. It'd be nice if you could get them the four Villanova boys together. They have championship experience on a college level. Um, if boy if that could happen, man, I I could definitely see the Knicks vying in that Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think that, like I said, sending Julius for Bridges works. Now, before I even say my next point, I think also it goes back to we touched on this the last episode. I don't see the Nets giving the Knicks Mikal Bridges because they're going to be petty. Like they don't like the Knicks because the Knicks are the better New York team. So I don't see them doing that. But if so happened they can make it work somehow. I mean, look, at one point Toronto was having drama issues with the Knicks. Somehow they still were able to make the trades work, right? So you could never say never. But I still don't strongly see the Nets giving up Mikal Bridges possibility, right? But I don't see it happening. But I agree with you. I think that bringing him here would truly help this team out tremendously if they were able to keep Julius Randle here on the Knicks. But I don't know. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, me neither.
Up next is Utah Jazz. The Knicks will receive Laurie Marketing. Utah would receive Julius Randle, rights to the 24th pick in the 2024 draft, rights to the 25th pick in the 2024 draft, a 2026 first round pick, and a 2028 first round pick. Is Lori marketing worth Julius Randle and all of those draft picks?
Not all those draft picks. No, absolutely not.
I agree. It's too much.
Yeah,
It's way too much.
24.
And would you want to trade Lori for Julius? Like, why can't, call me crazy, but I would rather say instead of putting Julius in that mix, I would probably put Mitch and swap him out. And now you could have marketing who can play down low, power forward. And then you have Isaiah Hartenstein. And you got Precious Achua coming behind him. He lacks the height, yes, but not for Julius Randle and not for all those draft picks and first round picks. It's too many.
Yeah, definitely for Randall. Like I said, I would, keep Randall. That's my personal take.
Yeah. Laurie's not again, he's another player who I feel like if the Knicks were able to get him and not have to give up so much, I would say why not? Sure, you know. But I just don't see that happening here. I don't think that that would be a sufficient smart move by this Knicks team. Salute J Boogie. So hit those like buttons. Y'all heard him, y'all. Said I'm so proud of the show. This is where you make the content of your show during the off season when you breaking down negotiating trades and drafts, the business part. Absolutely. This is just as important as during the regular season talking about games. Like we gotta know what we're working with, who's out there. Coach Starr said, we made a deal with the team we are suing. We also made Rich Paul come to the table. I think we can get this done. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. With Mikal Bridges, I don't want to say never because it's possible. I think one thing about Leon Rose, they was getting on Leon towards the later part of the Knicks season, right? The Knicks now was at like maybe 40 something wins. And I was listening to a Michael K show and Don Greca and Michael K was defending Leon Rose's decision not to speak to the media. And the sports media don't like that Leon Rose doesn't like to speak to anybody. He doesn't have to speak to you. Leon
Yeah,
Rose is more about the business. He's more about, I don't need the spotlight. I don't need a press conference. I'm trying to get things done and make things happen for this team, right? Because he also has pressure on him to get things done and make things happen. But I think that Leon Rose has impeccable negotiating skills. He does an excellent job being able to mediate between teams and their agents, working out numbers, being realistic, not over promising or under delivering. And I
this-
think that he does that really well. And that's why this team hasn't been making any crazy, absurd moves. Where, as a Knicks fan base in the past, we were like, why did the Knicks do that? Why would you
exactly.
bring Joe Kim Noah here and you paying him out for, you know what I mean, on this crazy contract and he ain't on the team and you still paying him in? So this front office with Leon Rosier, they're not doing that. This prime example of a what if with Lori marketing, they're not going to do that giving one team all those picks unless it's somebody they got to be really worth it. And I don't think that this Knicks front office is so fixated on bringing a superstar here
Yeah,
because they know that that's not what they need. They assessed and looked at the whole season and said, okay, we don't need to do that. We just need to bring in those one or two pieces in here and it'll be the final pieces to the puzzle and let's run it back next season.
and they also, they got contracts that they also have to, be mindful of, OG's contract, iHeart. So these are things. So that, why waste all these, draft picks for a guy that, quite frankly, I would definitely rock with Randall at any given day, as opposed to, marketing with these draft picks. So, like you said, we know that they're skillfully, behind the scenes, you know, working and just seeing the, like you said, because this is a what if. So they're seeing what if we can get this guy for this guy. So they're working as well, you know. And as far as Leon Rose, who does he speak to? This is a business. We're not friends. This is a business. He's his allegiance is to the Knicks and getting them to the next level.
Right.
So that's absurd, but
Salute Parish Duggar. He said, only people I would trade Julius for is Embiid, Zion, Paul George, or AD types. I wouldn't want Anthony Davis. He's very injury prone. Zion, same thing, injury prone. Paul George, injury prone. And Embiid, Philly's not letting him go. And I don't think the Clippers are going to let go of Paul George either.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, MB's definitely not going nowhere. Like, because we all know they're retooling that whole roster, and
they're
quite,
building around him and Maxey.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
So Phillies, they're definitely holding on to Embiid. They're gonna build around him and Maxey. Zion proves he can lose some weight, but he's very up and down. And honestly, I think this team needs to focus on Eastern Conference Finals and championship. Well, first I should say they need to focus on having a good season, right?
mhm,
Being prepared if the East gets better, right? So being prepared to contend as they will be. We know they're going to make the playoffs. So I'm not going to say making the playoffs, but getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. So you got to now prove that you can get out the second round, because you've proven that you can get into the second round, but getting to the Eastern Conference Finals and making it to the championship it has to be part of the agenda. So we don't need players like a Zion who you're bringing the wrong attention here for the wrong reasons, for your own personal dilemmas and drama. Like, we don't need that. So I'm not really crazy about him. And plus, Zion reminds me of a like how you were saying with Paul George, or like a Kawhi, where they're playing and then once it gets closer towards the end of the season, playoffs, they're not available because they have an injury. Now Zion was able to play this year, but I think that's because the criticism of his weight,
yeah, and he lost a few
also
pounds.
the drama that he had being in the spotlight with all the baby mama sleeping with this one, getting this one pregnant, the Jerry Springer drama. We didn't, the Knicks don't need that. This is not that kind of team. Like, we're not doing that here. So I'm not fond of him. And I know when his name was brought up before, I wasn't fond of him coming to this team either. And AD, he turns his neck and he has a sprain. He goes to tap a ball, he springs a knuckle. Like, everything hurts him when he does something. Like, he's always hurt. It's always something. I'm surprised, considering he's very injury prone. He had a really good season this past season, and he stayed healthy for the most part. So I'll give him that. But that's a one off. That's a rarity. And I don't know if he was able to do that also because LeBron trying to push, during the playoffs, and he trying to stay healthy for knowing these are LeBron's last years. I don't know. But yeah, Zion played last year. Yeah, I said that. AD played 70 games. Yeah, I mentioned that. Zion is maturing and will be a top 5 player in the next years. Yeah, I'm sure he will. But is Zion a fit on this Knicks team? Right? Now, don't get me wrong. I think having a player like him on this Knicks team and what he'll be able to do down in the paint, we're not getting that right now. So yeah, I would take it. I would gladly take a player like him, because unfortunately, iHeart and Mitch can't give you what he can do down in the post. Can't shoot the ball. Which was
But question: would you trade Randall for Zion.
No, no. I'm not really fond on getting rid of Randall for just so loosey goosey. Because one thing that I know I noticed, and I'm sure there's other Knicks fans that noticed as well, when we were in that first round against Philadelphia, I said, man, I remember saying to myself watching, I don't know if it was game 3, 4, whatever game was, I was like, yo, the Knicks miss Julius Randle. And the reason why I'm saying that is because while I thought round one made for an entertaining round, it was one of the more entertaining first rounds in the playoffs. The Knicks won by the skin of their teeth. A win is a win. Like you always say, they got it done. Yes. But they barely was getting by, considering Philadelphia only had two guys that was really bowling. And I'll say Kyle Lowry did a little bit for them on the defensive end. But otherwise than that, all they had was Maxey and Embiid. And Embiid's numbers, you wouldn't even, if I didn't know, if I was a blind woman, I wouldn't have known that he was hurt by hearing his stats. He was dropping 40, 50 points a night, giving you, you know what I mean? He just, unfortunately, was dealing with an injury. But round one made me realize, wow, this Knicks team, they're missing the presence of what Julius Randle could do on the floor.
Yeah, because what happens if Embiid was fully healthy
Right,
and Randall out? I mean,
right.
not
Good
that Brunson
point.
can't carry the team, but again, just when he plays down low, like I said, it helps takes a lot of pressure off of Brunson, by him being there. So it makes you just wonder, you know, the what if scenarios, just like these are what ifs.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I just think that you know, it's one of those things where I'm not so fond on loosely giving up Randall for just any old random player. I just don't think that that would be smart for the Knicks to go ahead and do. The other player who I know some people have brought him up in the chat in our previous episodes was Zach uh, Edey
Edie.
from Purdue. He's 7'4", 300 pounds. He averaged 25 points. He was actually first in scoring. He was averaging 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 62% from field goal percentage. And he only got better. 2021 season, he was averaging 8 points. 21-22 season, he was averaging 14 points. 22-23 season, he was at 22 points. And this past season, he was at 25 points. So his game has grown. Same thing with his field goal percentages are pretty high up there too. His rebounds went up. He was at 4, 7, 12. He averages about 2 assists, 2 blocks a game, a little over 2 blocks, close to 3. Um, he doesn't turn the ball over at a high percentage. His 3-pointer percentage is at 50. Field goal percentage is at 62. I think that with him being the best player in college basketball in the past 2 years, a team's going to be for sure interested in snatching him up. I think that he can play under this Knicks regime. Not sure if the Knicks will be able to get him, but who knows, right? That's why this is called the what if episode.
What
Um,
if
there, I think like for him, there's some questions about him fitting in the NBA, right? Because of his shooting and his court coverage and his spacing in particular. But I think that he can possibly be a fit on this next team. He's tall. You've been asking for taller players. He can shoot the ball. He can rebound. He can put the ball on the floor. He's not going to do like iHeart and Mitch and hold it and wait for somebody to come closer before he can pass it. So I just think that I like what I saw from him in a few games that I've watched him play. Um, and it would be great if the Knicks can snag somebody like him.
Okay. So now question. What if I heart we can't pay him, and they say he can be used as insurance. So would you be so quick to let iHeart walk and go after this guy, or would you stick with iHeart?
No, I would stick with iHeart because of the veteran experience, right? The more experience in the league. But and unfortunately, the Knicks probably wouldn't be able to get him because while he'll be a rookie, I don't think that. I think the question comes up if the Knicks will have the money to be able to sign him into the league, like Zach, if they would be able to sign him.
Well,
And then it would be like, would there be any room for him anyway? Because at this point now you have Mitch, you have iHeart, you got Precious Achua still there, which we haven't heard any talks about whether
well,
or not the Knicks. Go ahead.
but the question was if they are not able to retain iHeart, you know, they
I don't
wouldn't.
know if they should sign him. That's a good question because I think now you're gambling. You're risking taking a younger player who doesn't have NBA experience. You college is one thing, but when you get to the pros, it's a different level
Oh
of
yeah,
playing.
for sure.
You know what I mean? And we see that with players all the time in the NBA. I mean, from men's college going to the NBA. We saw Caitlin Clark get a few wake up calls coming in her first few games, getting slapped around. The game is faster, it's quicker, guys are stronger. I think unless you're like a talent like Victor Wembayana, where I have to say I'm impressed with what he did. He stayed healthy.
Oh man.
And I think part of the reason why too is his conditioning, the way he works out. He does yoga. He's super flexible. I've seen like a few of his workout videos. But I think it's also just what he was capable of doing on the floor against guys who's been in the league for some years now,
Yeah.
veterans, and guys who's been in for 3, 4, 5 years already. Um, that spoke volumes. And that doesn't always happen when guys transition from college into the
Yeah.
NBA. It takes them
Yeah.
a while to find their footing, to
Hmm.
transition into the big league. So I don't know. I think that would be a huge risk for the Knicks to take him if they're not able to get iHeart. Because then I also go to, well, who else is available as a big for the Knicks to take? I mean, I would rather them take somebody with the skill set to get on the floor and be able to give you something versus taking somebody who's just a big body like a Jericho Sims, but can't really give you much.
Well, I mean, but they also have like that 24th and that 25th pick. So will they use those, or will they try to package those and for a, I don't want to say superstar because we have a superstar already, but for that marquee player, to play alongside Brunson, or a shooting guard, a point
Right.
guard. So it just makes you wonder because they do have, the 25th pick. Um, that kid from Indiana's projected, so it just makes you wonder. That's why it's gonna be a busy off season, and I'm
Oh yeah,
excited
for sure.
to be
For
honest
sure.
with you. I am for the
Yeah.
Knicks and the direction that they're going.
Yeah. What's his name? Khalil
Yeah,
Ward.
where?
Where?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
And he,
very physical. His size, length, mobility, he's good. Yeah, I don't know. The Knicks could possibly come away with Zach, or they can possibly come away with what's this guy named from Miami? Kaishawn George. He's a
yeah.
forward guard. He could play both, but he's inconsistent with his scoring, and we don't have time for that inconsistentness. Like we don't have time. Like we need guys who's going to be consistent on a night in, night out basis. So I don't want the Knicks going after a guy just because he fits the quota of the height and the weight and the positioning for that particular positioning. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, don't just grab anybody just to take them. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think this is gonna be a very busy off season and a very interesting one to say the least. You know, with a lot of teams that didn't really perform well in this previous season, and with the Knicks trying to go to the next level, it's key that they put in the right one or two, possibly three pieces to complete this roster up for us to run it back for next year and to get to the finals. We're not just settling for the Eastern Conference Finals. We're trying to get to the finals. And
Yep.
I believe Brunson, Randall, these guys have their eye on the prize and they're trying to get there. So we'll see. But yeah, this was not going to be a long show, guys. We just wanted to quickly go over some more trades. I'll make sure the next show will bring in some more college players with some stats. Um, and I'll create a slideshow for that as well on who from college can the Knicks possibly bring in. No one was really paying attention to men's college ball because the women's outshined the men. Um, so, you know, we'll see what happens with that. Salute Wacko in Brooklyn. He said Mitch Bogey broke us for first round picks for Carl Anthony Towns. I don't know. I'm still not sold on Cat.
And after that performance, if he don't
I was just
keep
curious
it
to
to, they going home. Cancun, here they come.
like I'm not sure about Carl Anthony Towns. Like I know a lot of people have mentioned that, but I don't know. They may want to keep him and run it back since they made it, as far as they have. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I don't know. Um, the New York Liberty play tomorrow. They play Phoenix tomorrow at home, 7 o'clock game. I will be tuned into the game. I'm sure you will be as well,
Yeah.
D-Blox. They are playing tonight, so Phoenix is going to be coming off playing a back-to-back. They're down right now. Phoenix is down 19 to 26 against the number one Connecticut Sun. Um, so, I will be paying attention to see what Phoenix does tonight. Hopefully, they are tired by the time they get to Brooklyn. Um, Not a far ride because they're playing in Connecticut, but we'll see what happens. This Phoenix Sun team is a really good team. They're 3-2. The New York Liberty are now 4-2. It's imperative that the Liberty win tomorrow. You don't want to go with losing 3 games in a row. And I think that they have this Liberty team has something to prove. You can't go to the championship round last year and unless this year have a bust. I also think like the Knicks, the Liberty haven't won a championship game and brought a ring home since the WNBA has started. So it's pressure on them. It's pressure on the coach, on Sandy Brondilla. It's pressure from the front office. It's pressure all around that this team does well. They opted to run it back. They only made maybe 2 or 3 tweaks to this team. Not happy with one or two of them, in my personal opinion. But what are you going to do, right? I think they have a lot of work to do in figuring out their offensive game. It seems very stagnant a lot of times while watching the New York Liberty so far this season. The first 4 games, minus 2 of them, I saw a lot of stagnation in the offensive realm within this team. Um, they also got to work on their passing, forcing passes into lanes that they just don't exist. They're not there. And I think they have to figure out a way to get their bigs the ball so that they can score and somehow get out of these double team situations that's happening. Also, they're also doing something else that drives me insane when teams do this in a game of basketball. You have a player guarding their man 1-on-1, and here comes a little help from a teammate. Why are you double teaming? Now someone's open at right under the basket. The Liberty are falling into that trap as well. So I think they have a lot of like they gotta like somehow, I don't know. I know it's only been 2 games they lost, but they gotta figure some things out.
Yeah, but they started strong those first 4 games. I mean, it was tight, but I think they need like go back to the basic of you won 4. Where's the collapse at? They need to figure that part out and get back to what they were known for. Because they're right now they're standing as far as just like where they're as far as their eighth and like points. So like they gotta put some sense of urgency into these games that they're playing, and I don't see that.
I feel like they have to fix both the offensive and the defensive end.
Oh, for
See,
sure.
the game that they just lost against Minnesota, they had moments where they were playing this excellent Matador defense. They were preventing Minnesota from getting even a shot up, getting them shot clock violations, and then they got comfortable. In a game of basketball, you can't chill until the game is over. And somehow I'm noticing this pattern with them where they kind of get lax and they chill. And I'm like, you can't do that. So I think that this Liberty team have to figure out offensively how to get going and move the ball better to get their scoring going. Again, the last game they were off. They couldn't buy a basket from anywhere. And it can't just be Brianna Stewart carrying the team. She needs help. Like other people, they are engaging and they're active, but I just don't think that it's enough to get this team to win at the end of the night like they need. And like I said, you don't want to go down with a third loss in a row. That just can't happen.
Yeah.
So hopefully they come out energized. They don't have a slow start tomorrow. Hopefully fatigue will be on their side as far as Phoenix being fatigued and tired. And, um, we'll see what happens. So I just need them to get this one tomorrow. Salute to Ross. And salute to the whole chat for joining us today. Today does not feel like Tuesday.
I know
Salute,
because
salute.
then
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. Salute Coach Star 617. Salute Just Nicks, Jay Singh, DJ Star Vibes, CM67, Wacko in Brooklyn. And seeing you coming through. Jay Boogie. Salute to Jay Boogie. King Ribby RM always joining us. Parish Jugger always joining us. Eddie C always joining us, showing love. Deraz. We will be back Thursday to do a post-game recap on a New York Liberty. We will have college potential draft picks that the Knicks can possibly go after. So I'll have a slideshow for that as well. And salute to everybody who's been joining us. Those of you who are new here, salute to you as well. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button either while you're watching or before you leave the channel. Don't forget to hit it and turn on your notifications. If you don't know, we come on every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30, and then every Saturday morning we come on at 10:30 a.m. And also check us out on social media. We'll be more active. So we're getting there. But until next time, everybody, enjoy. Have a good one. Peace.
Ace